Tonight on the MTN News, an unwelcome Christmas surprise.
Our morning started off a little wonky, but once we, calmed down, we had a pretty great Christmas.
A group of Grinches caught on camera raiding one Billings family's decorations. Also, wildlife watchers say farewell to one of Yellowstone Park's biggest celebrities.
I feel so lucky to have been able to know these animals, to watch their lives.
The remarkable legacy that Wolf 907 left behind. And from the ranch to the restaurant.
You can tell right away which is coming from the, feedlots and what's coming from the ranch down the road.
A unique farm-to-table story told by the chef who lives it. The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on your Friday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Sometimes seems like thieves will target just about anything that's not tied down these days, sometimes even things that are. One Billings family was shocked to see this group of Grinches raiding their decorations Christmas morning. Well, it didn't ruin their day. As David J. reports, it did raise some concerns.
The pickup truck stopped right about here. One person got out, went up the driveway, took some decorations. Another one also went out in that direction. Somebody also went to a house down the street, just a couple doors down. Looks like he didn't really come up with anything that he stole. They all got back in the truck and headed off in that direction.
Yeah, it's like, here comes the Grinch stealing our Christmas decorations.
Yeah, great. 7-year-old Evan Burgess was the first one up on Christmas morning.
He's so sweet and innocent, but yeah, he wasn't worried about it the rest of the day.
Surveillance camera video shows what happened. A truck stopped on Stone Street around 7:30 that morning.
You can tell that he's wearing like a blue sweatshirt. The other person looks smaller that came to try to grab more stuff out of our yard. And then the person across the street was wearing black. You couldn't really tell.
Amber Burgess looked at the video and out her window.
All we know is it was a black, older Ford pickup, and their truck bed was full of stuff. So I don't know how many houses in our neighborhood.
I just thought I saw a kid with the woman, and then they just almost ran over their toes, and then they just got into the truck, and then they just turned right on to a street.
The unusual crime shook the neighborhood, with many surprised to hear about Christmas morning crooks.
We heard some crashing and some tires stuff peeling off, but we didn't know what it was. And normally, like we said, we don't hear stuff like that around here. Our neighborhood's pretty quiet, and we all know each other, so it's pretty out of the ordinary for something like to happen down on this end.
That is awful. People are enjoying family, enjoying everything about Christmas, and something like that happens. It just puts a damper on everything.
Perhaps an abrupt start to Christmas morning, although the Burgesses were determined not to let it ruin their celebration.
We still had a great day, minus the little setback. I mean, decorations can be replaced. So that didn't really damper our holiday one bit.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
Yellowstone National Park's most famous wolf has died, garnering reaction all around the world. Wolf 907 lived a long life, making it to the age of 11. That's around 3 times longer than the average wolf lives. And as our Isabel Sparts found out, the one-eyed wolf leaves behind quite a legacy.
Yellowstone is known for its breathtaking beauty, its geysers, and its wildlife. But it's the latter that has always drawn Christina Gaylor to America's oldest national park.
I just started to fall in love, most of them.
Christina, one of hundreds who returns time and time again to photograph the park's wolves. But one has always seemed to stand out from the rest.
And of course, we all have favorites, which one of them was 907.
907, the park's oldest wolf, is one Gaylor has been tracking nearly every day. However, on Wednesday, 907 died due to injuries from a wolf attack days earlier, a shock to many.
We just learned yesterday morning that no, she didn't win this battle. It was hard.
Gardner-based photographer Debbie Dixon also took the news hard. She's been tracking the wolf since the beginning in 2013.
907 was not ever what you would call a photogenic wolf in the way that wolves will sometimes get close to us. She always kept her distance.
907 was known to many as an anomaly in Yellowstone. She lived to be 11 and a half years old, nearly 3 times longer than the average wolf, and had just given birth to her 10th litter of pups in May, perhaps the oldest wolf in Yellowstone to give birth to pups. She was also blind in one eye.
You would never know that she was blind in an eye. She was out hunting just like any other wolf. She ran along the landscape.
She just kept going on. That's the resiliency, which is, I think, we the humans can learn of.
A wolf who had a following around the world.
All of us who loves wolves think that at least she died as a wolf in the wild.
And perhaps the wolf most known by Yellowstone visitors since the animals were reintroduced to the park nearly 30 years ago.
I feel so blessed. I feel so lucky to have been able to know these animals, to watch their lives.
Her knowledge was in her body language. Her experience were in her behavior. Her wisdom was in her reactions. Her resilience was in her 11 years and 8 months. She was 907, the matriarch of the Junction Butte family.
In Yellowstone, Isabel Sparts, MTN News.
Not only did Yellowstone lose its best-known wolf in 2024, the park also lost its most famous and oldest grizzly bear. And the two animals were famous for many of the same characteristics. Grizzly Bear 399 died in October after being struck by a car near Jackson Hole. At 28 years old, the bear was beloved by many because of her age and her prolific reproduction. The bear produced at least 18 offspring, including a set of quadruplets, during her remarkably long life. In 2023, she became the oldest known grizzly in Yellowstone to give birth to a cub. Hundreds of tourists traveled to Yellowstone hoping to catch a glimpse of that famous bear. Well, speaking of Yellowstone, it's finally beginning to look like winter in and around the park. Take a look here. This was Cook City this afternoon, where more than 7 inches of snow has piled up in the last 24 hours. So much snow that an avalanche watch has been issued for several mountains surrounding Yellowstone Park, including areas near West Yellowstone and Island Park. Well, when will we see snow? Turns out you may wake up to a winter wonderland before the year comes to a close. For more on that, here's meteorologist Jason Stiff, who's tracking a system headed our way right now. Jason?
Yeah, good to see that snow in Cook City. We have the avalanche watches out for parts of Madison and Gallatin County, but also winter storm watches out. That's for Sunday through Monday. Also have an avalanche watch out for far northwestern Montana. Both backcountry avalanche danger will be high, so keep that in mind. Now, these winter storm watches will not be in effect until Sunday morning, but they'll be from Sunday morning until Monday morning when the first of 2 storms moves our direction. So a lot of clouds pushing our way, some light spotty snow showers trying to fall over parts of Sweetgrass County and Stillwater County now, but much better chances are coming. Today, though, was a dry day and a warmer than average day for the Magic City. Had a low of 29 and a high of 47. Our forecast next 7 days coming up.
A step forward tonight for an American school teacher with Montana ties who's imprisoned in Russia. Mark Fogle has been officially declared wrongfully detained. Fogle is serving a 14-year sentence in Russia for possessing medical marijuana. His sister, Ann Fogle, lives in Missoula. She's advocated for his release since he was detained in 2021. Fogle's wrongfully detained designation puts the full force of the U.S. government behind securing his release. There's no clear timeline for that. MTN will have a full report next week with Ann Fogle. The Montana State Bobcats set to play in the FCS National Championship game against North Dakota State on January 6th in Frisco, Texas. And fans trying to figure out how to get to Frisco for that big game are finding it's neither cheap nor easy, with limited flights from Montana to Dallas and so many trying to get there on the same day. That prompted Montana U.S. Senator Steve Daines to write a letter to the CEOs of Delta, American, United, and Southwest Airlines, asking them all called to add more flights on the days surrounding the big game. So far, only United Airlines has responded, adding one more direct flight, which quickly sold out. Regardless, getting to Frisco will cost you a pretty penny. According to Orbitz, the average cost of flying out on Friday, January 3rd is roughly $1,700. Meanwhile, Senator Daines tells us the big game has already been the subject of some talk in the Senate.
You know, I saw John Hoeven, who is the senator from North Dakota, the former governor of North Dakota. We were doing a little talking on the floor of the Senate last week before the game. But I was keeping my Bobcat humility. You know, we've faced the Bison before, but I tell you, this is a better Bobcat team this year. And you know, you learn a lot from beating the national championship a couple of years ago. I like our odds in Frisco. I'm sure we'll have a bet here between some of those North Dakota senators and myself.
It's been 40 years since the Bobcats won the national championship. That happened to be the year that Senator Daines graduated from MSU.